coming to you from Forager Brewery in Rochester, our town. Welcome to Our Town, the show about Rochester. I'm Eric Olson. Real estate development, it is a complex business. I don't understand it, and there are many projects in the works for Rochester. I know that's a good thing. Peter Gerrard joins us later in the show to talk about what it takes to put these mega deals together. Also tonight we're going to visit the bookmobile. Remember the bookmobile? Actually, the bookmobile is going strong these days. We're going to learn about that, and we find out more about Rochester's Greek culture by way of some tasty food. But first, we're talking about the announcement by IBM this week to consolidate its operations into fewer buildings in Rochester. They're not leaving, but new space will become available for sale. Rob Miller from the Rochester Area Chamber of Commerce is here to talk about how that might benefit the business community in town. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Not all doom and gloom on this.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think anytime you can have truly a tech giant reinvent itself and stay innovative, I think that's great.
Mm-hmm. And it's not the first time they've reformulated themselves and trying to become stronger in Rochester. What might that footprint look like going forward?
Well, I think you're going to see it get smaller, not smaller because there are less people per se, but smaller because the way people do business, especially in the tech world, has changed. There's a lot of collaboration, as you know now, and if you've ever toured the likes of a Google or an Infusionsoft or one of those tech companies, there are no offices. They work very close together. You're more apt to see an indoor football field surrounded by sofas. That's just the environment that those folks work in and thrive in. And of course, the millennials are a big part of that. They look different at workspace. And so again, I applaud a company that has been in this space for a very long period of time to change their model and to stay relevant. I view that as very positive.
Is it too early to talk about what is planned for the space?
I think it might be a little too early, although I think there's a number of us that could see that being an innovation center or research center, something that has good synergy with, of course, the IBM brand. And with Destination Medical Center and the things that are occurring in our community, we need other places to take business and industry, and not everybody can co-locate downtown. And so it's a great space. There's manufacturing space out there. There's office space. I think it'll be a really great opportunity for somebody.
We've only been on the air here doing the show about a month, but we've already had several young developers, computer person, and it's just one person or two people with an idea, So they work with others, as you say, but not in a large corporate environment. Are those the kind of people that we're seeing in these businesses?
I think that's kind of the model, and if you look at the Discovery Square model for DMC, it's about bringing innovation and entrepreneurs, very bright people together to collaborate and create great things. And that's just the way technology does business today. It's evolved.
So IBM, and now I'm speaking as a corporate expert of IBM, sorry, no disrespect intended, but could there be a scenario where they would benefit from what's in Discovery Zone, in DMC, and still remain doing their thing?
Very much so. Again, we only have so much space downtown, and when that space is filled, people will still want to do business in Rochester. And so I look at this campus as simply an extension of what could occur down at Discovery Square. So again, I think it's an exciting opportunity.
I know it's early, but there's some businesses that probably would be looking at the space that at IBM, some genres perhaps?
Perhaps. I'm not privy to anybody looking. We have some companies already out there. Charter has quite a presence out on the campus currently. Again, I think IBM has been pulling away from being in the real estate business. That's not their model, and so I think they're certainly being fiscally responsible to their bottom line, mm-hmm. and no reason to have excess space if you don't intend to use it. And so to encourage other companies that can kind of cohabitate with you, I just view that as very good business.
visiting with Rob Miller of the Rochester Chamber. I want to switch to DMC for just a second.
Sure.
I remember a couple of months ago there was a Star Tribune article. I think it was a Sunday paper. You're smiling and nodding because you know where, just saying why isn't anything happening? Why aren't there any building permits? And you go up to the Capitol and you walk around. I happen to go up there, and there's kind of this, yeah, look, it's not working. Not from anybody down here, but just kind of but they're not seeing the whole picture really.
I think we have to remember that DMC is a 20-year plan, a 20-year economic development plan, and that takes a lot of strategy and it takes a lot of planning. It's not about building buildings for the sake of building buildings, right? It's an economic development plan that has to be very well thought out, and there are things happening, but a lot of those things are happening behind the scenes, and perhaps you saw on the front page, the Post Bulletin, we're talking about $100 million or a potential $100 million project down by St. Mary's.
Right.
So I would view that as a step in the right direction. We've had about $152 million of DMC projects already through the pipeline, and so I would tell you that we are right on track. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that the average person just doesn't see.
And folks, it's a great problem to have. I mean, how often in a lifetime do you get to re-envision where you are and how you're going to do commerce, how you're going to transport people? It's really crazy. We've had Peter, Mr. Sieb on here before, and it's crazy.
What an opportunity to be in a community of 100,000 people with world-class healthcare, an organization that brings in over 2 million visitors a year. And then on top of that, we're going to have a $6 billion economic development plan.
Good things.
It's very special.
Thank you very much, Rob.
Thank you.
Appreciate your views.
Thank you.
Our Town is brought to you in part by the following amazing people and organizations.
Clements Subaru proudly partners with award-winning KSMQ Public Television. Clements Subaru of Rochester. Clements' clear value promise is to make buying a car fast, fair, and simple. The University of Minnesota Rochester, an undergraduate health sciences university offering education designed to change tomorrow's healthcare. University of Minnesota Rochester, always in the heart of our community.
And the members of KSMQ Public Television. Thank you.
More great stories ahead. Jennifer Rogers visits the bookmobile, and what's more fun really than a library on wheels? We learn about Base Hospital number 26. Peter Gerrard is an experienced developer in the Rochester market. He will join us to talk about all the details that go into creating a new project in town. And up next, Our Town Culture explores Rochester's Greek culture with Johnny Mangoris.
Hi, I'm Johnny Mangoris, and I am from Johnny Mango's Catering, and today I'm going to be showcasing one of the great Mediterranean dishes called dolmades. So dolmades are this wonderful meat and rice stuffed grape leaves in a lemon, wine, and garlic sauce that goes with it. It's absolutely fantastic. The Greeks are a big part of believing this, is that the flavors and what creates saliva and makes your saliva glands go is directly linked to happiness. If you're salivating, you're in a happier mood. And we joke around about how Pavlov's theory showed that when he rang the bell, the dog would start salivating. Well, Greeks, when we're cooking or talking about food, we salivate. So obviously there's got to be some correlation between the happiness of cooking and what we're creating. Well, I'm Greek, so I grew up in a stereotypical, wonderful family Greek restaurant in Seattle, Washington, before I moved here to this area. And in that restaurant, I learned a lot of great lessons, but the biggest one that I learned was, and my mom said this, when you're happy and you're cooking, everyone that eats your food will be happy. If you're sad while you're cooking, everyone that eats your food will be sad. If you're angry, she goes, don't even bother cooking, because you shouldn't ever cook angry. Why is food so important to the Greeks? Well, it is very important, but it's not actually the food that makes it important. It's the getting together of the family or the friends or the neighborhood, and that's called pareja. And that just means that we're all getting together, and the way it would work is, you know, the baker down the street would bake the breads and bring the breads. The butcher would bring the meats. The farmer would bring the vegetables. You know, the vineyard, the person that owned the vineyard would bring the wine, and they would come together daily, and that's how they would survive. It wasn't a family could have all those things in their home by themselves, because they couldn't. They all added to the piece to it, and that's how these communities were started. So when the immigration came to America, it was the same process. They all went into different fields of business. It's too bad the camera can't smell, because you can smell this. It just smells delicious. Nice lemony, yeah. Just a nice lemony, garlic, olive oil, egg smell. It's just really wonderful, okay? Now I'm gonna take these. Oh my God, these smell fantastic. I am definitely salivating as I'm putting these down on the plate, which is a good sign. It's got this great, like I said, lemony flavor. So now we're gonna take this wonderful sauce. Let's put it right over the top of these dolmades. So one of the reasons I love dolmades so much is they have multiple flavor components, and what happens is, as you take a bite into them, you will first taste the saltiness of that lamb, and then you'll start picking up that lemon flavor, which comes in second, because your tongue will distinguish salt first, then the citrus, and then as the citrus starts to fade away, you're gonna get that great garlic, a little bit of that wine, and then you're gonna get that egg finish at the end, like, you know, like when you're eating an omelet, let's just say, and you get that great, wonderful egg and, you know, flavor finish. So that's what really makes it so great. That's one of the great things. You can see I took a bite, and I can't stop salivating as I'm talking. That's one of the great components of that Greek or Mediterranean diet, is all those wonderful flavors that, again, that excite your palate enough to where they're like, we want more food. So there we go. And we have this wonderful plate of dolmades.
For more information about this story and other Our Town features, connect with us on Facebook, Twitter at KSMQ #OurTown, or ksmq.org/OurTown.
Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good creeping up on you, so just dance, dance, dance. Come on, all those things I shouldn't do, but you dance.
And as we learned from earlier in the program, the last 10 days or so have been a whirlwind of announcements in Rochester. As we discussed with Rob Miller, IBM will be consolidating their campus and selling 2/3 of its excess space. Changes should be completed by the spring of 2017. Another development opportunity was proposed for a commercial space near St. Mary's Hospital. $100 million project would be located on 2nd Street Southwest. With some demolition slated to take place, the resulting space would consist of 359 housing units, primarily townhomes and luxury apartments, along with 20,000 square feet of commercial space. The new plan has yet to appear before the City of Rochester's Planning Department, but developers are optimistic about the process and hope to have the project completed by the spring of 2018. And the Chateau Theater Reuse Task Force is recommending Miller Dunwoody Architecture as the project manager for shepherding the process of redevelopment. Many organizations in Rochester have suggested a variety of uses for the historic theater. The city will review the task force's recommendation at an upcoming meeting, and the community's first chance to interact with the new project manager, Danita Lemon, will be May the 26th. More details to come on that soon. And if you're looking for one of the newest businesses to open in town, check out Efe Rojo, a new Mexican restaurant. Dave and Mark Curry have reworked the old City Cafe space in downtown Rochester. Trivia question, email us if you know the name of the first Curry-owned restaurant in that location. Extra credit for what year it opened. Rochester at ksmq.org is the address to send us your guesses. Coming up next, our own Jennifer Rogers checks out the latest books rolling down the streets of Rochester on Our Town Walkabout.
Hi guys, I'm here with Margie on the bookmobile. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. The bookmobile is a branch of the Rochester Public Library. We go all over Olmsted County. We have approximately 75 stops that we go to over a 2-week time frame.
Oh, you want to check it out?
How do you know like what location to go to, or who do you normally serve?
We do a lot of families. We go to a lot of the small communities where they don't have access to a library. We do go to several schools, several daycares. I've been here for almost 26 years, and this is my third bookmobile, so I've known families since they were little tots, and now they're coming on with their families. We carry everything. We have adult materials, we have large print materials, we have DVDs. The hot area is right down here under Really. Really is anything gross, any strange but true, any believe it or not.
Tell me, do you have any fun stories or facts about the bookmobile?
There are a couple daycares that all the kids come and they look for books, and they always prepare a song for us. And then they sit down and they sing a song, and then they have to do high fives and fist pumps and things, but it just makes your day fun.
Awesome. So you do like Wheels on a Bus go round and round or something?
We do, yes, they do that. I love that one. They do that.
All right, guys, I'm here with Chris. He is the driver of this bookmobile. Tell me about it.
It's a hybrid bookmobile. It uses electric power during slow speeds. Then it has the solar panels on the roof, and that powers all the LED lighting and the computers and everything that we run on the bookmobile.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. I am Jennifer Rogers, your host with Our Town Walkabout.
We're hanging out at Forager with Peter Gerrard this week. He's here to answer our big question.
Who is the first person you need to ask permission from before starting a project in Rochester? He knows that answer.
Back in a minute.
Our past, remembering what made us who we are today. Brought to you by the History Center of Olmsted County.
When the U.S. declared war on Germany in April 1917, Americans quickly enlisted. Among those from Rochester, a small but significant contingent exemplified this. Base Hospital Number 26, a unit headquartered in Minneapolis, included 14 enlisted men from Rochester, along with 10 officers and 7 nurses, all from the Mayo Clinic or St. Mary's Hospital. Though Rochester represented only a portion of the 36 officers and 207 enlisted men, the unit came to be known here as the Mayo Unit. After several months of training, they finally sailed for Europe. As the first unit to arrive on site, they faced incomplete structures and inadequate supplies, equipment, and drugs, forcing them to improvise until needs could be met. Ready or not, Base Hospital Number 26 officially opened with the arrival of the first hospital train on July 23rd. They ultimately helped heal and save the lives of thousands of patients until March 1919, when the unit started its long journey home.
We're never coming back around like shooting stars. We're burning out. It's gone.
Peter Gerrard is the president of Gerrard Companies, a real estate development firm that has completed many projects in Rochester, including, you'd probably be familiar with the People's Food Co-op building. It's gorgeous. Rochester will continue to see more development as the DMC and Journey to Growth plans unfold. Welcome, Peter. And there is that big question we have for you. Who do you need to ask permission from first?
Well, first off, thank you for the gracious time to be here, and I'm thankful for it. First person that comes to mind for me is Denny Hansen, the late city council president. I knew him vaguely. Second person is Doug Knott, but unfortunately we lost Denny a few years ago. But as you put it, permission to build in Rochester, I like that question. It's very charming. But I had several meetings with both Denny and Doug, and
What you're saying is it's the other way around, actually. They have to ask permission from you if you're going to build it? Yeah,
Right,
okay,
exactly.
good.
But those are the first two people that come to mind for that, certainly.
And you mentioned the co-op building. What a gem! You know, big cities much larger than Rochester don't boast not only the business but the way it looks. You know?
It's beautiful.
Well, I am further blessed to be able to work with my brother in development, and blessed to have a great friend that is also my architect, Jim Pancras, and very talented individual. He's been with us for over 15 years now, and we're really lucky to get up in the morning, go to work, love what we do, passionate about what we do, and build unique buildings that people really want to live in.
So what are some of the challenges of developing property in Rochester specifically?
Well, I'd say one of the bigger challenges is land cost. As in the last 10 years, we've really become urban infill, mixed-use developers.
What does that mean? Sorry to break it. Urban,
okay.
What did you say first?
Urban infill.
What does that mean?
Okay.
Sorry.
I thank you for slowing me down. Urban, obviously everyone understands that term. Infill is a site of land that has already been used. It's non-virgin ground. Downtown areas, the fringe, it's non-virgin. It's not out in the cornfield.
So existing buildings? Or,
right.
Okay.
Existing buildings, and that's what Metropolitan Marketplace was an urban infill mixed-use site, and it had other buildings on it. It was part of a RFP, which is a request for proposal, very competitive, I might add. We beat out a few development groups out of Minneapolis and a few here in Rochester with this concept. But getting back to your question, the land costs now with the explosion of DMC and the hype of that, and the excitement of that, and the opportunity of that for Rochester, wow. But I would say land costs, I don't really see working with City Hall as a challenge. That has been pretty good on our end, and it's about being open, honest, transparent, getting to the neighborhoods right away with your concept, and getting into the city staff right away with your concepts.
Right.
How do you do a building when you need to plan for future uses that may or may not be what's in your mind at the present time?
Well, that's a great question. A lot of that comes back to your market study. There's no such thing as build it and they will come, although some people have been fortunate to do that. But you really have to be thinking far ahead, 10 years into the future with your building systems, your building amenities. Location is, everyone knows, is the one of the most important pieces of real estate, and oftentimes location determines your market and who your audience is. So
what are the best locations in Rochester right now?
Everywhere he's building.
Well,
Okay,
I like to be downtown or near downtown,
Right.
near the fringe. Our friends the Pompeians, you just introduced a great project, and I congratulate them. That project will be very successful. Sites like that, I think are hot right now.
Earlier in the program, we were talking about the IBM announcement and the uses of that space. And it came up that more and more there are individual people or very small companies that are doing a lot of work, high-tech work, and it's not large spaces. And so would a company like yours take information like, look at what this huge company is doing with their space, we need to design space keeping that in mind that, oh, there's going to be a need for X, Y, and Z space?
I think what you're describing is what I would refer to as an incubator, where you take a large box and you break it up into many, many small cubicles for many IT or health-related businesses that all can function within that one space. It's much less expensive for them to do that.
Oh, what are you working on right now in Rochester?
Well, there's a little irony here because we are working on a major project that's in the very, very beginning stages on 2nd Street. And if, as I referred to the irony, as we get closer, if we're fortunate enough to have this project materialize, we would be in this very room visiting with the Kutsky neighborhood folks to get their positive feedback on do's and don'ts. It's very important, especially in Rochester, to get with the neighborhood. The neighborhood is the constituency, right? The council members have to listen to those folks. They have a big voice at City Hall. So we want to come in, just like we did on our last 2 projects, get neighborhood support. The best way to do it, get neighborhood support first, then go to City Hall. And you know, a developer might think, I've got a great site and I own this site, but guess what? It's not his neighbor or her neighborhood. It's the neighbors that live there that are going to be affected the most.
Right.
And you've got to show them the respect of their constructive criticism and input.
So get the buy-in and move from there.
Right. Absolutely.
Learned a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate the invite.
And that's it today for us. Join us next week when we talk with Jenna Bowman about prototypes and Idea Jam.
And Regina Mustafa, founder of Community Interfaith Dialogue on Islam City, talks about bridge building. Thanks for joining us. See you next time on Our Town, the show about Rochester.